Good morning. The court's in session. Matter before the court, 2013-35-789, the proceeding of the plaintiff Kelly Anderson versus Dale Rockford in the Carter County School District. I'm Judge Thomas Campbell. I note as a preliminary matter a number of things under our rules. First, to ensure that there are timekeepers in place, and where are they? Timekeepers, one timekeeper, and draw everyone's attention to the assigned timekeeper. Next, of course, that if there isn't anybody in here with a cell phone or anything operating, that it's all the way down and off. Hats must be off in the courtroom. Thank you. Hats. Sorry. Hats off in the courtroom, of course. Ballots and scoring have been scoring information distributed to the panel I note present for scoring. Communication devices off. I guess I covered that. And of course, to ensure that whoever's seated, and people are welcome to be here so long as they're associated with one team or the other. And I assume that the teams know that, and no one else is present from another team not operating here in our courtroom. It's my understanding that both parties, that is, all teams, have stipulated or agreed to the video recording of this particular session, although that's usually not allowed. And so you note, as I do, and with a little added nervousness, that there's a camera on all the time, but we'll get past that, all of us. That being the case, I'll turn first to the plaintiffs and ask them to identify each participant by name and the role you will play today. And I'll begin with the plaintiffs. Go ahead.
Bailey Levering.
Stand and go ahead.
Bailey Levering, and I'll just be an attorney.
All right.
Mary Gray, attorney.
Caitlin Henninger, attorney.
Ben Miller, Lynn Garcia.
Alexis Arnold, Kelly Anderson.
Very well.
Ryler Boaz, Cody Simpson.
Very well. And as to the defendants, again, in the same fashion, if you'd identify yourself by name and, in some cases, the role you're playing. Go ahead.
Abraham Tunison, attorney number 3, opening.
Well,
Benjamin Means, attorney number 2.
very well.
Abby Shively, attorney number 3, closing.
Very well.
Catherine Jones, I'm Dale Rockford.
Logan Fox, Ryan Brady.
Sandra House, Jamie Garcia.
Very well. Thank you.
Not Garcia, Jamie Hagar, sorry.
Haggard. Very well. The plaintiff ready to proceed at this time? The defense ready?
Yes, Your Honor.
Very well. Turn to you then. The plaintiff may call their first witness. Excuse me. The plaintiff may open. I beg your pardon.
Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we are here today because of a tragic event, the untimely and tragic death of a high school student and track star, Jordan Anderson. Any parent who has ever experienced this will tell you that the hardest thing a parent can do is bury a child. You are not supposed to bury your children. They are supposed to be a comfort to you in your old age. They are supposed to fill you with pride as you see them reach adulthood and start their own successful lives. They are supposed to provide you with grandchildren to love and to spoil. But Kelly Anderson will never know that comfort because her child is gone. Kelly Anderson had to bury Jordan because Jordan died a premature death. Jordan Anderson died because of the negligence and the pride of the coach, Dale Rockford. Remember when high school sports were supposed to be fun? Remember when the whole concept of high school sports was to build team spirit? Remember when the focus of high school sports was to take pictures to fill a yearbook and make memories that last a lifetime? Not anymore, ladies and gentlemen, not anymore. Now, the purpose of high school sports is to win. Win at all costs. Win no matter what. And if somebody gets hurt along the way, well, that's just the fortunes of war. and every war has collateral damage. Dale Rockford is a great high school coach. You can ask anybody. But these days, what does that mean? That means he is willing to do whatever it takes to win. He is willing to use any means at his disposal to ensure that he takes home the trophy and the glory of being a victor. His athletes become tools of his trade, and if he pushes a tool a little too far and it breaks, so what? He has plenty more. Jordan Anderson was that tool that Coach Rockford pushed a little too far, and Jordan broke. He made the track team too high stakes. He made winning so important that Jordan would do anything to win. And what did Jordan do? He did steroids. Did Coach Rockford actually tell Jordan to use steroids? No, he didn't. But the evidence and the testimony will show that Coach Rockford allowed this to happen. Why didn't the coach do something about it? Because he was really liking the result. Jordan was becoming a winner. The testimony will show that winning was more important to the coach than the effect the steroids were having on Jordan's health. We don't believe that the coach ever intentionally hurt Jordan, and we're not saying that you should believe that either. But the evidence and the testimony will show that Coach Rockford allowed his desire to win overtake his responsibility to his athletes. His inaction allowed Jordan to die. He failed to exercise what our laws call ordinary care. And when somebody fails to exercise ordinary care, that person is negligent. And the result of his negligence can be seen in the local cemetery. Imagine, if you will, what if Jordan was your child? What if your only child was dead because of another person's failure to exercise ordinary care? And what if that person was in position of authority and therefore responsibility over your child? Think about it, and please don't ever allow this to happen again. Don't let Jordan's memory be nothing more than that of a broken tool casually tossed aside. Please return a verdict that finds Coach Dale Rockford responsible in the death of this fine young man.
High School Interscholastic Association.
Motion to enter this into evidence?
Objections to one?
Objection. No foundation to why one is relevant has been laid so far by counsel.
I agree at this time. You may continue with the foundation from this witness or otherwise as you see fit. The objection is sustained. You may continue to ask questions of the witness if you wish and make your offer again.
You had a form from WISA that regarded your drug policy, correct?
Yes, it was the drug policy of the Wyoming Interscholastic Association.
Did Jordan sign it?
No. Jordan was gone that day when I handed it out. And while normally I do check up with my kids, Jordan's been sick a lot. It's hard to get a hold of a kid like that, especially with the rest of my kids. For example, I have other star students, not necessarily Jordan Anderson. For example, Cody Simpson had amazing scores too.
You did say in your affidavit, correct, you did say in your affidavit that Jordan wouldn't have been gone because if he had, then you would have tracked him down and given him a new
Yes,
form, correct?
I believe I would have, and I answered that last question.
Yes, but you said in your affidavit that Jordan must have handed it in without a signature.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. I would like to speak about the posters and brochures that the coach was given. May I enter exhibits 5?
You're going to
6 and
approach
7.
with 5 and 6?
Yes.
You may, at the same time. Go ahead.
Yes, that is a steroid poster and a steroid brochure.
Permission to enter them into evidence.
Objections to 5 and 6?
Same objection as last time, Your Honor. No solid foundation has been laid to why these are relevant to be put into evidence.
It explains the education he gave his students on steroids.
Still a female.
Wait,
Thank you.
very well. The objection's overruled. 5 and 6 are admitted, and you may continue.
What did you do with the brochures that were
I
given to
handed
you?
them out to my freshman and sophomore health class. Every student gets it because it's required for every student to go through those health classes.
And what did you do with the posters?
I just put them on my desk. It's not mandatory for me to hang them up, and they're disgusting.
So you just didn't put the posters up?
They're gross. Would you like to look at that all day? No, I wouldn't.
When Kelly Anderson came to the school about the bake slips,
I didn't know what was on those slips. It was just a piece of paper she was waving around.
when Kelly Anderson busted into your track practice, you told her you would handle the situation.
And the situation being Jordan stopping off. Did I handle it? Of course I did. Jordan,
I wasn't done
care
asking my
about.
question.
Just wait for the next question. Go ahead.
You told her you would handle it, but you never got back to her, did you?
I didn't need to. I assumed that she trusted me enough to handle it, especially since she didn't come back to me again talking to me about her son. If she was so curious about how I handled the situation with her child, she should have come to me.
What did you tell the team about supplements?
I told, legal supplements?
All supplements.
All supplements. I have educated my team on how to take care of their bodies via it be a great diet or taking legal supplements such as multivitamins. I have never told them ever in the history of my 15 years as a track coach to take illegal supplements.
You said that Carter County is very engaged with their students, correct?
They
Yes or no?
are. And they have an outstanding program both academically
Said
and
yes or no.
athletically.
And the PE teachers are required to have education in steroid use, correct?
All coaches are have to attend a mandatory
So
seminar.
yes.
Yes.
Yet nobody with their education on steroids in that school noticed Jordan's steroid abuse.
But as your own, expert witness said, it's hard to identify, steroid use because it appears differently in every child. So no matter how many mandatory seminars you go on, that's only really just a day with absolutely no expertise or a doctorate can identify a child using steroids without a test.
Yet you expected Kelly Anderson with no formal education on
son's
steroids. I am
liver
not
was
done.
failing.
Stop, both of you. Stop, both of you. Wait for the question, ma'am.
Yet
Ask
you
the question.
expected Kelly Anderson with no formal education on steroids to notice these symptoms that nobody with an education could.
His liver was failing. He had yellow eyes and yellow skin.
Are you saying
Last
that
time
you-
somebody presented those symptoms, we
Stop.
had the yellow fever.
Stop.
Are you saying that you
Stop.
noticed the symptoms?
Counsel, ask the question again. Answer only the question put to you. Go ahead.
You expected Kelly Anderson with no formal education on steroids to notice symptoms that you and the other members
have
of the school board
answered this
also did not
question.
answer.
So-
Did not.
Your answer to that question is what?
Yes, I expected a mother to know her child's liver was failing.
Did you read the steroid article that Jamie Hagar gave to you?
No,
Why not?
because I was busy. I have track practice. I have multiple kids to take care of on that team. It's not just all about Jordan Anderson.
So you didn't
I
find it
glanced
important?
down at it. It was an article about don't do drugs. That's not exactly something I need to go sit down with a kid about. If you don't believe me, verify it via
But
my
you did not read
affidavit.
the article
no,
because you found it unimportant?
because it said don't do drugs. So yes, I found it unimportant.
And that was one of the signs that led Jamie Hagar to believe that Jordan could be taking steroids. And if you would have read it, you may have put the pieces together.
She never talked to me
Just-
about Jordan Anderson using
Objection,
steroids.
Your Honor, that's speculation.
Sustained.
No further questions.
Redirect.
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. You may step down.
Thank you.
Defense may call their next witness.
Defense would like to call Jamie Hagar to the stand.
Very well, Ms. Hagar, if you'd come forward and take the witness stand. Counsel? You may inquire of the witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. Would you please state your name for the courtroom?
Hi, I am Jamie Hagar.
And what is your current occupation, Jamie Hagar?
I am the Vice Principal and Athletic Director at CCHS.
And what have your jobs in the past inquired, Miss Hagar?
I used to teach, and then I taught at CCHS for 3 years, and they offered me the position of Vice Principal.
And what sort of education do you have, Miss Hagar?
I have my master's and my doctor's in education.
Miss Hagar, what would you say the quality of your staff at CCHS is?
We hold our staff and our students to a particularly high standard.
And Miss Hagar, what is the parent pool at CCHS?
The parent pool is an optional parent pledge in which parents can give money to coaches who they think thrive with their team.
How do parents feel about this parent pool, Miss Hagar?
They think it's a great incentive. They're always very willing to give.
And Miss Hagar, what steps does CCHS take to deter drug use?
We have the Wyoming High School Interscholastic Association, which is a zero tolerance policy for drug use.
And Miss Hagar, with these violations, have there been violations in the past?
Yes, since I've started with my position, there has been a total of 20.
Miss Hagar, how do you educate your coaches and staff on drug use and abuse?
My students are required to take a class their freshman year to educate about drug use and substance abuse, and my teachers or my coaches are required to attend a seminar.
So proper education is delivered.
Yes, very much so.
Miss Hagar, what was your view of Jordan Anderson?
Jordan Anderson was a very hard worker. He was very responsible from what I heard. He was very friendly. You could tell from how hard he worked at track that that's what he really wanted, and he was willing to work for it.
Miss Hagar, I know this may be a hard question to answer, but after Jordan's death, what did you do?
Well, it took a real toll on the entire school, staff, and students. And so now I have a physician come in yearly, and he raises awareness about abusing steroids.
And Miss Hagar, how would you describe Dale Rockford?
Dale Rockford is also very responsible. He takes his job extremely seriously. He works harder than any coach at the school, in my opinion. And from what I've seen, he likes to get very close with his students, and he's very responsible and I brought it to Dale.
And why did you bring it to Coach Rockford, Miss Hagar?
Because since he's the track coach, or just the coach in general, he deals with especially athletics and steroids.
How was your trust with Mr. Rockford, Miss Hagar?
Oh, I trusted him immensely. I trusted once I brought him the form that he would deal with it correctly, he would confront Jordan, and he would take all of his responsibility.
So, Miss Hagar, to recap what you said, that Coach Dale Rockford was very engaged with the students, and your students and staff were all very well educated, and you've taken even measures after Jordan's death to make sure education continues?
Yes, absolutely.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Cross-examination, counsel?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may inquire.
Hi.
So just to clarify, like with the parent pool, if the track team does well, then Dale Rockford gets a large check.
Yes.
And Jordan was the star of the track team?
Mm-hmm.
So if Jordan did well, Coach Rockford got a large check.
Objection, Your Honor. That's speculation. The parent pool was based on the entire team, not a singular student.
Jordan was the star of the team, therefore he carried the team oftentimes.
Overruled. It's a fair cross-examination. Go ahead.
Could you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
So if Jordan did well, then Coach Rockford got a large paycheck,
Well, I mean large because it's optional for the parents, but yes.
but a larger paycheck.
Yes.
Okay, so what happens if a student is accused of substance abuse?
If they're accused, then right away, well, if they're accused, then we have to look into it. And if they're proven the first time, they are suspended. Well, they're suspended from the activity, but are still allowed to go to practices. The second time, they are suspended for the entire season, and their parents are contacted. And the third time, can result in they're no longer allowed to participate in sports, and it can result in detention all the way to expulsion.
Okay, so if Jordan were caught like with a steroid violation, he wouldn't be on the track team for a while, and that would hurt Coach Rockford's paycheck, potentially.
Well, he would be.
Yes or no, please?
Yes.
Thank you. And every sport except track has had a steroid violation?
Yes.
Do you find that odd?
No.
Yes.
Okay.
Objection, Your Honor. That's a matter of opinion, not by expert testimony.
Withdrawn.
Very well. You may ask other questions.
So if there are complaints made about a coach, you're the one who investigates them, correct?
That's right.
And you said you hold your staff to a very high standard?
Absolutely.
And you have a zero drug policy?
Yes.
And you said that you brought in the steroid allegations about Jordan to Coach Rockford?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so if you hold your staff to a high standard and you have a zero drug tolerance, why didn't you check back in with Coach Rockford to see if he handled it?
Well, I obviously expected he would do the responsible thing and confront Jordan about it.
So you didn't hold him to the high standard by checking him?
I
Yes or no,
expected if he
please?
didn't get back to me that obviously there was no problem.
Okay. So you, just to clarify, you did not check in, yes or no?
That's right.
Okay, so moving on. You were aware that Jordan was decreasing his times in record-breaking fashion. He was becoming sick more and more often.
Yes, I was aware.
And you were aware that he looked up information about oxyandrin.
Yes, I was aware.
And you, as an administrator and authority figure in both athletics and in academics in this school, you didn't put the given information together to even suspect on your own that Jordan might be abusing steroids.
Objection, Your Honor. That is a compound question that the answer can be to either.
I'm going to allow the answer. It's somewhat confrontational, but it fairly characterizes the evidence up to this point. Overruled? You may answer.
I was in fact aware, and I did have suspicions about Jordan, but no actual proof. So I took it to Coach expecting he would take care of it.
But once again, for clarification, you did not check in with Coach afterwards.
That's right.
Thank you. No further questions.
Very well. Did that raise, did those questions raise a subject that you wish to follow up on? Redirect? Oh, you may.
Ms. Hagar, you previously have stated that you hold your staff to a high expectations and high repertoire, correct?
Yes, that's right.
And if I'm understanding correctly, Ms. Hagar, that how is this done?
Well, I mean, first of all, we find the best of the best during interviews and stuff. And, well, of course, we let our staff prove themselves for being responsible.
And how does the Wyoming High School Interscholastic Association Forum involve this, Ms. Hagar?
It's a zero tolerance policy, and since we hold our students and staff to such a high standard, of course, they have to sign it and be responsible for that.
And did Dale Rockford violate any of the codes of conduct stated in the WHSIA form?
Absolutely not.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Anything further?
Yes, please.
On those subjects, you may follow up on recross, yes?
You said that Coach Rockford was the best of the best, correct?
That's right.
And your school was the best of the best.
Objection, Your Honor. That is out of scope. That was not mentioned in redirect.
Counsel?
He was, during redirect, they're discussing the status of the school and its employees.
I think, I agree. Overruled. You may answer.
Could you repeat it?
Yes. And you said that the school was the best of the best.
That's right.
And its employees as well?
Yes.
Would a good employee notice symptoms of steroid abuse?
Objection, Your Honor. That's a matter of opinion, not by expert testimony.
She claimed that she was one of the best of the best, seeing as she was one of the employees.
Overruled. She may answer.
Can you repeat it?
Do you think the best of the best would have noticed the symptoms of steroid abuse? Yes or no, please?
Well, I mean, yes.
Did you notice the symptoms of steroid abuse?
No.
Did you ever suspect the symptoms of steroid abuse?
Yes.
Your Honor, permission to approach the witness to have her read her affidavit?
Okay, no, I don't.
You may approach to confront her with her affidavit.
You recognize this?
Yes.
Would you please read this?
I never suspected Jordan would use steroids. That doesn't say anything about his symptoms.
Okay, thank you.
Well,
And did you say this before or after you found Jordan dead?
Objection, Your Honor. That is out of scope. That was not mentioned in the redirect.
I was asking when she said this statement.
Overruled. She may answer.
After.
After. So after seeing the symptoms, you still never would have suspected Jordan would use steroids?
That's right.
Thank you. No further questions.
Very well. You may step down.
Your Honor.
You may call your next witness.
Oh, no, never mind, sorry.
Ryan Brady can stand.
Very well. Mr. Brady, if you'd come to the stand to my right and your left as you approach. The witness has previously been sworn and you may inquire.
Okay, thank you very much, Your Honor. So, Mr. Brady, can you list some of your qualifications for the court?
Well, in 1985, I obtained my Bachelor of Science in Exercise Science degree from the University of Wyoming, and later in 1991 obtained my Master's of Science in Sports Management.
Okay, and what did you do while attending the university?
Following the completion of my Bachelor of Science degree, I immediately earned my teaching certificate and began teaching physical education at Rock River High School. At that time, there was a position open for assistant soccer coach, which I accepted and maintained for 3 years before becoming the head soccer coach, a position which I maintained also until 1995, until being promoted ultimately to assistant principal in charge of discipline and athletics.
All right, and what do you do currently?
I apply my expertise as a consultant in the areas of sports management for both professional and amateur athletic organizations in Wyoming and around the nation.
And what is it you do primarily?
I prepare compliance programs to ensure that athletic organizations abide by the rules set forth by their governing bodies.
All right, Your Honor, I would like to enter the witness as an expert.
Under the competition rules, you may proceed to ask questions, and I'll deal with any objection at that time. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much, Your Honor. What is the governing body for the athletic program at Carter County High School?
That would be the Wyoming High School Interscholastic Association. We'll just refer to it as WISHA for short.
All right. And what kinds of requirements are specified by the WISHA organization in regards to drug and substance abuse?
Well, the position statement as well as the bylaws don't specify any clear or specific regulations, only that competitors or coaches who are caught using any illicit substance during an interscholastic competition will be banned from said competition. This can be seen in Section 14 of the WISHA bylaws.
All right. So if WISHA doesn't enforce specific regulations, who does?
The schools are left up to do that.
Okay. And how do you feel about that as an expert?
Well, I feel it's very detrimental. I actually tried to get WISHA to establish statewide regulations because I feel that a uniform statewide standard is the most effective method for combating steroid use among student athletes, and because steroid use in the West is uniquely high.
So what would prevent schools from conducting themselves at a higher standard?
How they deal with offenders isn't the problem. They're more than capable of doing that. The biggest factor is that steroid testing is so prohibitively expensive. A single test can cost as much as $100 or more, and that's not even accounting for secondary tests to confirm positive results or legal fees whenever results are challenged in a court of law.
And to what effect are the programs that schools have implemented to address drug abuse?
Well, most schools have actually implemented screening kits for marijuana, cocaine, amphetamines, methamphetamine. The reason that they are capable of doing this so easily is because these screening kits are relatively cheap, sometimes as low as $20, and certified laboratories are capable of giving them out. But the problem here is that while this is better than no testing at all, these testing kits do not screen for the presence of tobacco or alcohol, which are the illicit substances most often abused by high school students. Moreover, they don't screen for the presence of steroids, and even if a school could front the enormous finances necessary to fund steroid testing, there's no guarantee that they could scan for every variation of steroid, including oxandrine.
And for schools that do have a steroid testing program in place, exactly how effective are they?
Not very. There was an article published in 2011 in the magazine Education Week that took a look at the steroid testing programs of multiple states. It was found that in New Jersey, $400,000 was spent on testing just 2,000 athletes, and of all those 2,000, only one positive result was confirmed. Similarly, in Illinois, after $150,000 was spent on testing 684 students, no positive results were found. It became so unsustainable in Florida that in the year 2009, they got rid of their steroid testing program when, after spending $100,000 on testing 600 student athletes, only one positive result was found.
All right, Your Honor, we would like to submit into evidence Exhibit 13. Exhibit 13 is the 2011 publication.
You may approach. You may.
Do you recognize this?
Yes, this is the aforementioned, this is the aforementioned 2011 publication from the magazine Education Week.
Excellent. I would like to enter Exhibit 13 at evidence, Your Honor.
Objections to 13? Objections to 13? None? No objection? 13's admitted.
What other schools have thrown out these programs?
According to a Dallas Morning News article, in Texas, a legislative committee will ask legislature in 2015 to get rid of a steroid testing program sponsored by the state that's been in place since 2007. And since that time, they've spent $10 million on testing 65,000 athletes. And of that entire body of 65,000, only 197 people were found to either have been tested positive for steroids or not produced a sample for testing.
Your Honor, we would like to submit into evidence Exhibit 14. Exhibit 14 is the aforementioned Dallas Morning News article.
Objections to 14? No. You have 14 and no objection. Sorry. 14's admitted. You may approach.
Thank you very much. And could you describe for us the exhibit?
That would be the Dallas Morning News article mentioned earlier, speaking on the legislative committee that will ask legislature in 2015 to remove that program from Texas.
Thank you very much, Mr. Brady. You mentioned earlier that steroid abuse rates among student athletes were noticeably high. If that's the case, why might so few positive results be found?
A lot of advocates for these random testing programs will argue that because so few results are seen, that this is evidence that these testing programs deter use. But there are multiple reasons for why this might be. Students who were selected may happen to have not been ones who were using steroids. It's possible that they were using a form of steroid that is not detectable by the test, or even that they cycled off of their steroid use by the time the test was administered. It's even possible that they found a way to mask their steroid use.
All right. And what evidence is there to back that up?
In that same 2011 publication from Education Week, it was mentioned by a student from New Jersey that students could very easily cycle off of their steroid use midway through the season and come up negative on subsequent tests.
So what do you feel is the most effective way to combat steroid abuse?
Well, I feel that education is the key. I mean, obviously students require knowledge about the effects of drugs and other steroids, but they already have this. Moreover, I feel that parents need to understand and recognize these symptoms associated with steroid abuse. Coaches should apply to this also, but as you can tell, Ms. Rockford was very attentive to all of these.
So what's your attitude on the WISHA position statement as it currently stands?
I feel that it's good, but that it's also quite inadequate and has much room for improvement. As I said, I feel that the statewide standard needs to be implemented so that steroid use can be better combated, and rather than just being strongly opposed to certain substances, as they say in their position statement, they need to enforce uniform regulations and punishments for those who break policy.
And how is Carter County High School compensated for these shortcomings in policy?
They have implemented a zero tolerance policy for those who do abuse drugs and other steroids. As well, they make all of their freshman athletes take a health course with a week-long segment on drug abuse.
And that being said, as an expert, how do you feel the school and coach conducted themselves in regards to WISH's requirements?
They abided by all of the WISHA bylaws and stipulations, and therefore I don't believe that they're at fault.
And what reasons would the coach have to suspect that Jordan Anderson was using drugs, or steroids specifically?
Because these symptoms could be attributed to a number of things, and the fact that the coach oversees an enormous body of students, I don't feel that she had any reason to suspect that Jordan Anderson was using steroids.
All right, no further questions, Your Honor.
Very well. Cross-examination?
Yes, Your Honor. You stated that you have a master's degree in sports management. How does this make you an expert on steroids?
I am familiar with sports administration, as well as managing both amateur and athletic organizations.
Are you being paid to testify this case?
I am an expert, yes.
How much are you being paid?
Discount fee of $5,000.
So you're giving a discount to this side. Isn't that biased?
No, this is a good place for my business to grow.
Why do you think this side is right?
I don't feel that Ms. Rockford had any reason to suspect Jordan Anderson was using steroids. Also, that I feel the state's policies that they set forth are quite inadequate and do not enforce regulations that could better have addressed the issues that led to Jordan Anderson's unfortunate demise.
Okay, thank you. You stated in your affidavit that many high schools use a $20 test, so why not implement those tests straight across the board?
You mean across all school districts?
Yes.
They are both they're also cost prohibitive. As I said, these testing kits can cost as much as $20, and not all school districts have the money to compensate for these things. However, in certain schools, the relative expense, which is cheap compared to the steroid testing programs, allow for these testing kits to be implemented. But moreover, they don't screen for the presence of tobacco and alcohol, which are, as I mentioned, the substances most often abused by high school students, so therefore they're kind of ineffectual.
Why not have the parents pay for all this to solve the problem?
You really think that having taxpayers spend $10 million on testing 65,000 people with only 197 positive results, or those that didn't even present a testing sample, should be expected to front that cash?
Okay, moving on. Just because students test negative, does that mean we shouldn't bother testing them at all?
I feel if we have reason to suspect that they're actually abusing steroids, that we should test them. I didn't say that testing programs should be thrown out altogether, just that random testing programs are ineffectual.
Okay. Could it be that the testing itself serves as a deterrent?
That's completely speculative, and there are plenty of other reasons for why it might be. As I said, those who were randomly selected for testing may not have been using them. They could have been using a steroid that wasn't detectable by the test. They could have even cycled off of their steroid use, which, as mentioned by that student in that 2011 publication in Education Week, is very easy for students to do.
Okay. You testified that Carter County and Coach Rockford are in compliance. Do you agree that the compliance is strict enough?
I do not.
So Carter County...
Actually, I apologize for interrupting. When you said, do you agree that the compliance is strict enough, were you referring to the regulations of WISHA, or that they abided by those rules sufficiently?
That they abided by the rules.
I feel that they did abide by the rules.
Okay. So Carter County School District didn't have any means of testing for steroids.
I didn't say they didn't. They did have means of testing them for steroids. If they suspect a student is using them, then they'll have to identify that student and apply the test to them.
Okay. Would Jordan still be here if the tests were in place? Yes or no, please?
There's no guarantee of that.
Is it possible for these tests to have caught Jordan's steroid use before it was too late? Yes or no?
If someone found out he was using them,
So yes.
possibly.
How much is Jordan's life worth?
I don't understand the relevance of it.
Just wait. You have to answer if you know.
I don't know.
Okay, no further questions.
Did that raise issues that you wish to
No further
redirect?
direct, Your Honor.
Very well, thank you. You may step down.
Your Honor, may I approach the bench?
Concerning?
It's about the verdict form.
I'm sorry?
It's about the verdict form.
Oh, stand by, I'll take that up. You otherwise have rested, is that correct?
This is true. We rest our case.
Very well. I'll come back to you in just a moment, ma'am. I have my list here. At this time, the timekeeper have any, the timekeeper have a sheet? Is it complete? All right. All right. But at our direction, have not found any violations of the time limits as we went. Is that correct? Very well. Before I recess then, other matters that might be rules violations or otherwise. Go ahead, counsel.
Want me to approach?
Yes, you may approach and show me what it is you're questioning. Oh, you wish to exclude him from the verdict form?
No, we wish to put him on.
Oh, I see, to add him to the verdict form. Oh,
And there's
interesting.
no rules in the pretrial that say we can't.
That's correct. Counsel for the plaintiff, if you'd, and you may step back, you don't have to do that at the bench. No, that's all right. I've handed you her argument. The request is that Cody be added to the verdict form, and for those reasons, and I'll give you just a minute. You can return to the table and consult with one another.
Reasons that came up in this.
Right.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Very well. That's, the argument's understood. I'll just give you a couple minutes to consult.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Of course. To the verdict form?
We do not believe there should be any addition.
Go ahead and make any argument you wish. Go ahead.
Cody was not in a position of authority, therefore he didn't have any authority over Jordan. He was not an expert, and he never claimed to be an expert. And so any misspeakings by Cody is not expert testimony. And there's no evidence to support that Cody was using steroids. In fact, just the contrary is supported.
Very well. Turning to you then in support of your motion, any response? It
Your
was you.
Honor.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
That's right.
So, Your Honor, just in this particular, just his responses of him and on his affidavit, he says that, I mean, he may not be an adult to have full responsibility, but he did have reasons to be somewhat responsible. I mean, he's his best friend.
Very well. Thank you. Understanding the request that there be an addition at this time, in effect, an amendment to conform to the pleadings, court finds instead that while some of those facts may lend credence to some responsibility, the law does not. The request to add him is denied. The evidence is closed. Thank you, counsel.
Thank you.
With that, first off, we don't have the timekeeper sheet, I guess, as I said, but we do have confirmation by the timekeeper that there have been no violations. That leaves us to deliberation, if you will. I'm going to ask everyone to, I'm sorry? Go ahead.
Done our closings.
Oh, my goodness, I did it again. The checklist that your supervisor gave me is no good. I beg your pardon. The evidence is closed, and I'll turn to the plaintiff for closing. Even the jury saw that. Wow, it's so embarrassing. It's a good thing they can edit tape. Please,
Thank you.
for the plaintiff, closing arguments. The judges, how can, don't you, I'm not wrong, for crying out loud. Go ahead, counsel, and again, both teams, my apologies. Just, I appreciate very much the respectful manner in which you've drawn that to my attention, and I'll proceed. Counsel?
Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you have now heard the testimony and seen the evidence, and by now it is clear that Coach Dale Rockford in Carter County School District is guilty in the negligence of the death of Jordan Anderson. The pressure put on young Jordan was too much. The pressure to excel, to win, to be number one was more than young Jordan could ever take. Everyone has his or her breaking point, and Jordan broke. Coach Rockford knows that the teenage brain is not yet fully finished developing. Teens are very susceptible to pressure, especially when applied by a trusted leader or mentor. Nevertheless, Coach Rockford applied that pressure. Coach Rockford pushed and pushed and pushed, and Coach Rockford pushed Jordan right over the edge. Now, Dale Rockford is a great high school coach. But high school sports have gone from being fun and educational to ruthless, win-at-all-cost battles. School sports have been perverted from their original purpose into something ugly and dangerous. Being a great high school coach is like being a great combat general. In combat, good kids die. Stop the madness. Stop allowing high schools and their coaches to take advantage of these impressionable kids until something tragic happens. Is one more trophy for the trophy case really worth a young athlete's life? Dale Rockford and the school should have seen the symptoms of steroid abuse. Someone at the school should have stepped in to stop this abuse. But no one stepped up. And since the responsibility, by law, was theirs, Dale Rockford and Carter County School District were negligent. And the trophy for their negligence now lies in the Carter County Cemetery. Again, I do not believe that Coach Rockford willingly or intentionally allowed Jordan to die. If we believed this, this would be a murder case. But the coach did not do what all coaches are, by law, expected to do. The law did not take care of his athletes, the coach did not act in the best interest of his athletes, and the coach did not exercise the ordinary care that our laws require. The parents trusted him, the athletes trusted him, Kelly Anderson trusted him, Jordan trusted him. And he let them all down. And because he did, he was negligent. As a representative of the school, he was negligent. Do not give him a break based on the defense that he was merely following school policy either. If this is true, then the blame lies on the school. Either way, the negligence rests on Carter County School District. We ask you to find for the plaintiff, the grieving parent, Kelly Anderson. Let's send a message that we will not permit this madness any longer. Let's turn high school sports back into high school sports. Thank you.
Thank you. And for the defense?
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, may I move just in front of the podium?
You may.
Okay, thank you. So may it please the court?
Counsel?
Your Honor, members of the jury, opposing counsel, a parent lost a son, and a great community lost a social, talented student. Kelly Anderson was Jordan's mom. Kelly knew Jordan the best. Now other people knew Jordan, his best friend, his coach, and others, but no one knew him like his mother. As a single mom, she knew him better than he knew himself. She raised him, took care of him, knew his habits, his moods, what he liked and what he didn't like. It's hard to believe that she didn't notice more than what she thought were teenage qualities. She noticed symptoms. She saw that things were changing, but did nothing as a parent to help her son. She didn't take the responsibility to check the trust fund, even when Jordan was asking about it. No one else was in a better place to stop Jordan more than Kelly. A mother is a person who can take the place of all others, but whose place no one else can take. Dale did most of what she could. She's an educated, caring woman that pushes all of her students to work as hard as possible. She saw that Jordan was working hard and that it was paying off. Thinking that, she knew she was doing her job. She saw hard work paying off for Cody, too. Dale and Cody both admit that Jordan worked harder than anybody, so why would Coach question his success? Cody was the closest person into being in the same train of thought as Jordan, and yet he did nothing to stop his best friend. Going to a coach or teacher without proof is giving anyone a hard job. We all know this. Ryan Brady has given you the requirements that the school district needs to follow, and the school has done what they are needed to do. From an expert that has tried to get WSA to establish rules and regulations regarding drug and steroid abuse, you've heard that random drug testing is not economically feasible. There are better ways to educate about steroid use instead. Carter County High School or Coach Rockford had no reason to suspect that Jordan was taking steroids. They educate freshmen in health class about drug abuse, and they've done what they needed to do as a school. From both experts, how could Dale really tell that Jordan was using steroids? No matter how much we debate on this subject, Lynn Garcia will never change her mind on who is to blame. She's only looking to blame people for whose students die of steroids because she's witnessed it firsthand. My question is, she was a coach, he was a coach, and he never suspected his nephew. Jamie Hagar has been a coach, and she knows that Dale does good work. She has said that she puts in the most work on and off the field. Dale's gotten rewards from students for best coach. Jamie only wants the best for her students. You've heard that this school gives the students the chance that they need for scholarships. Currently, parents generally enjoy the incentive system of the parent pool because it gives their students even more of a chance to get scholarships. This high school has a zero tolerance policy, and every athlete should know this. Okay, Jordan didn't sign the form senior year. That doesn't give him an excuse to not know the policy. Jordan knew what was right from wrong. He knew he knew what the policy was, and his mother knows the expectations. His mother knows him better than anyone else should. She had the chance to take him to the doctor. She was even going to, but she didn't. She found these drugs in Jordan's closet, in her own home, and she didn't notice. I know she wants to blame someone else for this, but justice has to be served. Why would you expect it for someone else to take care of your child when it's your responsibility? I ask you to keep this in mind, ladies and gentlemen. A mother is a person who can take the place of all others, but whose place no one else can take. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a couple of minutes left. Further rebuttal? Or further closing by the plaintiff? No? Very well. Thank you. With that, the evidence is closed. It certainly have two more orders of business as the scoring panel is excused. I'm going to ask everyone to remain for just a moment. I've got something I want you all to do. Upon the return of the scoring panel, so you do have to stay here, we're going to give them a brief opportunity for remarks. They know that you are also waiting to eat, and so there will be brief remarks, but I think valuable. And so I'm going to ask that you stay, the teams remain here for just a few minutes. I'm going to remain on the bench. Excuse the panel, if you would, out this door here, please. Ladies and gentlemen, sheets, there you go. If you take those and huddle amongst yourself, I'll probably just have you announce them, hold them, do your voting, hold them first. The announcement of the opposing attorney and witness awards, which I think is a great deal. The plaintiffs for the defendants, if you just announce the name of the opposing attorney award from your point of view.
Yes. Abe Tunison.
All right, very well, thank you. Very good. All right.